Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. I do have one quick favor before we get to the video that you came here for, and that is very simply this. You see that little red subscribe button below this video? Go ahead, smash that subscribe button. It really does help me. It really does help this channel grow and my audience grow. So go ahead and hit that red subscribe button. And now, here is the video that you came here for. All right, there is no more time to waste, people. Let's get into it. Biggest topic of the day, in my opinion, as you get set to listen to this on Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday morning, whatever, we will be getting set for Game 4. Excuse me, I was going to say 3. Game 4 of the NBA Finals. Game 3 was obviously awesome. Jimmy Butler, 40-plus points. Tyler Herro does the Tyler Herro snarl. I guess it'd be a snarl. Tyler Herro does the snarl after the big bucket. And I think you guys probably that watched it enjoyed it. But I think the topic and the story of these NBA Finals is that nobody is watching. Now, I will say, I think we have a pretty basketball-savvy audience on this show. I do believe that most of you guys are watching the NBA Finals. But really, the big story coming out of these NBA Finals is kind of exactly what I just said. No one is watching these NBA Finals. Game 1 had 7.41 million viewers, which was the lowest-rated Game 1 or Finals rating in NBA history, or at least certainly in the modern era, the post-Bird Magic era. And then Game 2, this is incredible. Game 2, Friday night, going up against no major sports, got 4.5 million viewers for Game 2 of the NBA Finals. That is a ridiculously low number to compare Game 5 or so, Game 6. I looked it up prior to coming on the show. Most of last year's NBA Finals with the Warriors and the Raptors averaged around 15 to 16 million viewers. I think it peaked in Game 6 when the Raptors ended up winning. And that was without the Canadian market, which was obviously where the Raptors came from. So to go from 16 million viewers in 2019 down to 4 million in 2020 is absolutely insane. And as I just said a minute ago, if you need some context, the first SEC on CBS game of the college football season, Mississippi State at LSU, did 4.4 million viewers. So just think about it in that context. You have essentially, in the grand scheme of things, a meaningless college football game. That's no disrespect to Mississippi State, but when you look at it, yes, LSU is the defending national champion, but Mississippi State is basically a non-consequential program in the history of college football, and you have that game going head-to-head with other college football games on a Saturday afternoon, basically getting the same rating as an NBA Finals game Friday night when there is nothing to compete with it. There was no NFL. There was no major college football. I think BYU was playing that night. And as far as Major League Baseball is concerned, there was only one playoff game that night, which was Cardinals-Padres, which, sorry about that, doesn't exactly move the needle. And so it is a really, really bad moment in time for the NBA. The ratings are absolutely tanking. And as I like to do on this show, I've really kind of spent the last few days really trying to think about, okay, what is the reason? Why are the NBA ratings so low? And I think there are a few reasons. As I promised off the top, I am not going to go off the deep end on the political stuff, but listen, I do think that that is at least a factor. I do think when people tune into sports, they do not want to be lectured on politics and on voting and on this and on that. And I do think it's a factor. I told this story on Twitter a few weeks ago, but a few weeks ago I tuned into the preview show, the pregame show for, I think it was Celtics Heat. It was Game 4, Game 5, whatever is on ESPN. And I turn on the pregame show to get some analysis about the game, and there's Jay Williams and Paul Pierce telling me how important it is to vote. It's like, dude, guys, I know it's important to vote. Everybody knows it's important to vote. I don't need to turn into ESPN 10 minutes before a game for me to realize that I need to vote, okay? There is no one sitting there watching that game saying, I wasn't going to vote, but since Jay Williams said it on the pregame, I guess I should go ahead and go vote. So I do think we cannot avoid that, right? I do think that is part of it, but I think there are two reasons that are bigger that most people aren't talking about, right? Most people are going to say one of two things. Oh, it's not a big deal. It's so random, and this year is so different, and they're playing in a bubble, and they're playing in the fall, and they're this and that and the other thing. So some people say no big deal. When you lose 75% of your audience year over year, it is a big deal. And then the other side will say, well, it's strictly because of the politics. And I don't believe it's strictly because of the politics. But I do think there are two reasons, and there are two reasons why the NBA ratings are struggling so much. The first one is something that I actually told you was going to happen back in the springtime. If you remember back in the spring, that oasis, that whatever the opposite of oasis is, that dry desert, long stretch where we had no sports, and all I could do on this show is come on and talk about what sports would look like when they came back. And what I said was, when the NBA actually put together a proposal to get back onto the court, I said, guys, look at that schedule. They're taking too long. And if you remember, there was a situation where basically all the teams were essentially allowed back into their facilities around like the middle of June. Then they scrimmaged for a few weeks in their facilities, and they came down to the bubble. They scrimmaged for a few more weeks. End of July, they actually tip off the regular season, play 2 weeks of regular season games, and then by the time the playoffs started, they were essentially going head-to-head with football. And so I do think like that is a factor in all of this. And even though the NBA did not go head-to-head with the NFL on either Game 1, which was last Wednesday, or Game 2, which was on Friday, I do think it is a factor in why people are not watching these finals. Because as I told you would happen in June, when we get to September, our brains turns into fall mode, right? We're thinking changing to the leaves, pumpkin spice drinks. We're thinking going to the pumpkin patch with grandma and grandpa, like whatever. But we think football when we think September. Air gets a little cooler. Like I said, you get that warm pumpkin spice drink, whatever. But you don't think NBA. You don't think basketball. And so I do think that is part of this. It is what I told you. I told you from the beginning. They had to move this time frame up. They shouldn't wait so long because when they go head-to-head with the NBA, they're going to get crushed. Or with the NFL, they're going to get crushed. And I do think that is a reality of what is going on right now. I don't think it's necessarily that they're going directly head-to-head with the NFL, but I think it's that there is almost a sports overload at this point. I mean, we're in the middle of October now, beginning to middle of October. And you think about it. Our sports calendars at this time of the year are already so overwhelmed. We got Thursday night football. We got college football all day Saturday. We got NFL football all day Sunday. We got Monday night football. And the thing with football is it's just so ingrained in what we do. Like, we're not giving up Sundays on the couch with the boys. We're not giving up Sundays at Buffalo Wild Wings or at the bar hanging out. We're not giving up Saturdays where maybe for 50 years of your family's lifetimes, your grandparents, your parents, everybody gets together and watches whoever your favorite team is, Arkansas, Tennessee, Ohio State, Michigan, Kentucky, whoever. Like, you're just not giving that up. And so something has to give. And that's where I think that we are at with the NBA, and something that I think is causing them to struggle in these ratings. I just think people just don't have enough time to commit an extra 2 days to the NBA when they have 4 days committed to football already, right? When you have a Thursday night NFL game, Saturday college football, all day Sunday NFL, Monday night football, it's kind of hard to tell the wife, like, honey, I'm going to go watch Tyler Hero versus LeBron tonight, okay? Listen, I know you didn't see me on Saturday, and I know you didn't see me on Sunday, and I know Monday night I watched that Patriots-Chiefs game that got bumped back, but now I'm going to go watch Tyler Hero LeBron. It just doesn't work like that, and I do think there's a little bit of a sports overload right now. And I will admit, even in my own life, even in my own career, it is a struggle to find that balance. My job is to watch sports, and I find it hard to keep up with the NBA now that the football season has started. As soon as the football week ends, I'm starting to think about gambling. What are the next big games? All those things, and it's hard for me to keep up. And I'm not complaining because this is my job, and I clearly love my job, and I will certainly take too many sports over not enough, but it is a struggle to keep up with all this stuff. So I think that's the first reason. And I think the second reason is something that I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about. I really do think that this is the year that all of the NBA team jumping and players leaving from one place to another, I think it's finally caught up with the NBA. And let me explain why, and let me give you a little bit of context why. So, like I said, We all have commitments outside of sports, right? And one of my commitments is I'm married. I have a wife. She's lovely. She's awesome. We get along great, and she's great because she understands it's my job to watch sports, doesn't really give me a hard time. But on top of all the sports that I normally watch, in one of the great upsets in the history of marriage, I have convinced her over the last couple weeks, watch The Last Dance. Watch the Michael Jordan documentary with me. Let's rewatch it. It's really good. You'll enjoy it. And to her credit, she loves it. She's like me. She's a child of the 90s. She peripherally remembers Michael Jordan and the Bulls. She grew up in LA, so she was more of a Lakers Kobe guy. But she remembers the Bulls. She enjoys the heck out of it. She's also in the marriage family space, so she loves diagnosing Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen, and why did Scottie Pippen want out of this game, and what does it all mean? And so she's really enjoying it. But as I now get the chance to not only see The Last Dance, but see it for a second time, something really jumps out to me, right? And what jumps out to me is that I think when we watched it the first time and we kind of broke down, okay, like why is Michael Jordan this mythical character? I think what it was that why we watched Michael Jordan was because he always came out on top, but also that he always had a challenger and you had to tune in to see if somebody could take him down. And as I watch this documentary for the second time, like it's really hitting me. I think we watch Michael Jordan because of his greatness, but I think he got so good to a point that we were just like, dude, is anyone ever going to beat this guy? And if you watch the documentary, it's incredible. Every episode, there's a new villain. Every episode, there's a new guy that thinks he's the guy that's going to take down Michael Jordan. First, it's Magic Johnson. Oh, I'm not ready to give up. It's my league. It's this, it's that. Yeah, Michael Jordan punked him in the finals, punked him in Barcelona at the Olympics, and it's Michael Jordan's league. Then you got Clyde Drexler. Oh, they're kind of the same player, and they're da-da-da-da. Michael Jordan punks him. Then it's Charles Barkley. Then Jordan retires. He comes back. It's Patrick Ewing. It's Reggie Miller. It's Gary Payton. It's Sean Kemp. It's Karl Malone. It's John Stockton. One after the other. Every year, there's a new challenger. Every year, there's a new team that thinks they are ready to take what's Michael Jordan's. And so when I look back on the Michael Jordan stuff, I do think the reason that he was so mythical, the reason that we kept having to watch year after year, was to see, is somebody finally going to take this guy down? And of course, his history tells us nobody ever does, but I think that's what made him such a compelling character. And I do think this generation of guys, I think they've taken that interest out of the game of basketball. And listen, this isn't going to be the part, and Nick Coffey and I are going to talk about this in a minute. This isn't going to be the part where I go old man on my lawn and, oh my God, these guys, they should never leave. And if you get drafted by this team, you should stay there your whole career. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that there's something compelling about watching someone no different than us in real life, right? Like in real life, we all have adversity, we all have highs, we all have lows, we all have job promotions, we all get laid off, we all go through divorces, we all have health issues. Like that is part of the real world. And I do think that makes us like our athletes even more, right? Like the reason that we enjoyed Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid winning the Super Bowl last year, how many times did Andy Reid get to the NFC Championship game with Donovan McNabb and he couldn't get over the top? Patrick Mahomes getting to the AFC Championship game and losing to Tom Brady. Like, we enjoyed it because they had to struggle to get to the top. That's part of the reason why we hated Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, because they just kept winning every year. But we enjoyed Andy Reid. We enjoyed Patrick Mahomes. We're enjoying the ascent of Lamar Jackson and not too much too soon coming to him. And I do think that's been taken out of the NBA, where even a couple years ago when LeBron was in Cleveland, it was like, okay, they got to get by these Golden State Warriors. Can they do it? Can they overcome it? And now it's just like, you just look across the NBA and everybody just keeps reshuffling the deck every 2 years and trying to start over. If it doesn't work out right away, they're trying to start over. In the case of Kawhi Leonard, it worked out. He won a championship and he started over. But I think for the average fan, it's like, man, I don't really want LeBron to win this thing, because LeBron 2 years ago was in Cleveland. He gets to LA. He doesn't even like his teammates. He gets all his teammates traded, and now he has a super team. And now he's probably going to win it because Anthony Davis is awesome. And, like, I don't blame LeBron for that. Like, I'm not one of these guys, oh, LeBron ruined the NBA. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is like, man, it's just like it's hard to get like fired up and excited for LeBron when it's like, dude, 9 months ago, 10 months ago, you were running Lonzo Ball and Brandon Ingram out of town. Like, how am I supposed to get excited to root for that guy? Like, I can't. Same with KD. I think KD was much more interesting when he was with Oklahoma City trying to get over the hump, get over the top, win that championship, than he is with Golden State. And I know he's not with Golden State anymore. But when he was with Golden State, like just having a super team and winning all the time. Anthony Davis, Paul George. I mean, you could go on and on and on and on and on. And so I think it's hurting the NBA for this season because it's like there's no like you tune in to root for this guy or you tune in to root against that guy. It's kind of like, well, if you tune in to root against LeBron and it doesn't work, he'll just trade for another superstar, and that's the end of it. And the crazy thing is, I think it's even impacting the local markets too. I live here in LA, and I'm telling you right now, the Lakers are by far, the biggest team in this area. People think, oh, LA has 2 NFL teams, 2 Major League Baseball teams, 2 NBA teams. No. Lakers are it. They get talked about on the radio 24/7 the way that, say, the New York Yankees get talked about in New York. Doesn't matter how many teams there are, the Yankees are always a topic. Yankees are always a topic. Kentucky basketball, Alabama football. Doesn't matter what else is going on, always a topic in their local community. And that's how it is with the Lakers. And I'm telling you, I have friends who are Lakers fans that are like, dude, like I'm rooting for it because it's the purple and gold, and like I'm excited to see my team have success. But I don't know these guys, man. LeBron showed up 10 minutes ago. I was rooting against him for all those years, and now all of a sudden I'm just supposed to root for him. I'm supposed to be happy for him. I'm supposed to be excited. I'm supposed to, sweat and bleed with him. It's like, no. In the Lakers' case, they have 3 or 4 guys that joined the team right before the bubble. They haven't even been with the team for 3 months. And so I just think it's interesting because I do think there's more to this story than meets the eye. I don't think it's all politics. I don't think it's all that they're going head-to-head with other sports. I think fans are just kind of like, dude, like how am I supposed to get excited to watch LeBron when if it doesn't work out, he's just going to trade a bunch of guys and get a new team next year? Same with KD. Same with this guy. Same with Kawhi. Same with that. Like, I do think that's part of it. And I do think it's reflected in the ratings. And it is one reason why I don't talk a ton of NBA on this show. Because for as much airtime as the NBA gets on ESPN and all their shows and all the radio shows and all this and all that, I'm telling you, and Nick Coffey and I will talk about it in a minute, like, you guys are more interested in regular season college football right now than you are in the NBA Finals. The ratings reflect that. Interest reflects that. I'm a guy that likes both. I like everything. I could talk anything. But I'm just telling you, I think the NBA is really struggling right now, and I think it's because of the reasons that I listed. I would also add, as I start to wrap up, I think it's the reason why everyone's rooting for the Heat. Because the Heat have a bunch of guys that are likable. Like, I know Jimmy Butler just came as a free agent, but Jimmy Butler's a guy that was a 4-year college player, JUCO guy, no silver spoon. Same with Bam Adebayo, same with Tyler Hero, same with Goran Dragic, on and on and on. And I think that's why people relate to him. So that's my NBA spiel, but I do think it's kind of worth talking. I mean, the NBA, I'm telling you, it is doing worse ratings right now than random like not great college football games, not Georgia, Florida, not Alabama, LSU, not Ohio State, Michigan. I'm talking about decent to below decent college football games are getting better ratings than the NBA, and I think it's worth considering, and that's kind of where my thoughts are at.